this channel. So, you know, the point to be made here is now you see where, you know, if I want to put my own sky in here, or if I want to bring the trees into my composite, that's when we did the channels and deleted. So turning this on and turning all these off, what the marching ants does is it snaps to the black and white. Now, I mentioned to you about gray. If I had gray, it would definitely pick up a little bit of the pink. Now that can be very good if you want to do a reflection on something where you just want a little bit of the image, but not all of it. Having gray is very good. It picks up just the highlights and so forth. You could also do it with lowering the opacity of your layer, but that lowers everything. And so it's a very, I'll go back to this when we get further along. So again, you turn the marching ants. So when you see this dotted line here, that's turning on the marching ants. And then the trick here is to rebuild the picture, go back to your layers,
Yeah, I know.
Boy has a lovely dog on. So that's where we can Control D. And again, I can bring this down and get my hyper behind it. And then I can move this in. You have to be sure to grab it and move it in. And then I hit no. And now on this one, it is a PSD, and I do want the changes to save. It wasn't the original JPEG. So why would I bring this into a composite for the hyper? Is just simply because maybe there'll be sticks and garbage floating around because the water, the floods have overtaken our landscape. So let's go back to a couple of other photographs to utilize some more tools. Let's take a traditional traditional photo retouching. So this is, again, when you have an opportunity to work on a photograph like this.
Professor, could you just let me in?
Oh, so sorry. Yes.
I'm sorry. No.
Oh, it's great that you have the audio. How did you get the audio? Wow. Okay. I'm glad they do that. All right. So here we go. So on here, I am going to, there we go. So when you do photo retouching, again, be sure you double click this and definitely be sure you duplicate. Right click, duplicate, or it's also up here. The important thing is to remember to turn off that layer, and actually, because you never wanted this to be deleted, you probably would want to lock it right up here. So on photo retouching, a couple of things. It's very hard, as you can see, this is a water damage. The tools to be using are the ones that are really quite amazing. And so on this one, down here, the healing brush. So you see how it keeps giving me that can't work for anything? It's because I'm on the wrong layer. Let me go back to this one. Yeah. So the tool that you want to use when you do photo retouching, the first tool that you always want to use is this spot healing one. Spot healing can do quite a bit before you try to get into all the other tools that are not helpful. Just like that. And mouse down again. And again, the brackets to make your brush bigger. And don't forget up here, if you look at by default, it's content aware. So when you see content aware, I'll show it to you in another circumstance. But basically, content aware is, it's a new old tool. And basically it's an algorithm that understands that what you are painting with your mouse, it is not what you want. And therefore, what you want is everything that's around it. So right here, obviously, I don't want this. I want this to be repeated there. So then you can drag. I'm mouse downing and dragging. You also can just click, 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 click. So that this way, you know, even that there's a white edge right here. I'll zoom in so you can see this. So you see, even that, the healing tool will take care of. So mouse down, get it up, and bring it down. And so it's recognizing that all that area on the left is what you want. Now, this cannot do everything. Like here, this will be very difficult because of the contrast. So let's just see, what I like about new versions is I like to see how they've improved the tools. So let's see how this is. So I'm going to get this fairly big so it can understand what I'm trying to do here. And then we will click. Go back. It's killing, it's taking away the collar. That's not going to be good. Close up, it looked like it fixed it, but in actuality not. So what I'm going to do is I'm only going to use it where it is all the same, like this. And then I'm going to pick it up here. And so you want to use it in a particular area that is the same so that it's picking up what you absolutely want. Now on this one, we can zoom in and see. Again, still takes it away. So this is when you want to use a tool like this. So basically all of the photo retouching tools are down here, right? Content aware move tool is a little tricky, but we can go over it if we see a cause. Red eye, that's pretty obvious. I'll show you what the healing brush does, which is really nice. So on here, I would tend to move towards the smudge tool so that I can come over here. Now the smudge tool, you can use the strength 50, so you're kind of building upon it. And the other component is, do you want it hard or soft? So I'm going to use it hard right now, and I'm going to mouse down and push, right? And then I'm going to push the white so the sleeve comes around like that, and then I'm going to push the shadow. And then I'm going to push this up. And again, push this a little bit darker. And you do have to zoom out to be checking on yourself. So that's a little better. So that we're working right here. So that's why you have to you go to different tools if it's taking away too much and so forth. Now on this tool here, this is a really nice, interesting little object. I could make that stand out and be a little bit more in focus. It's a little out of focus. So I'm going to come and just take the lasso tool. Now here is what's important, tool that I want to share with you. Notice up here, it says feather. Well, that means that if I use this lasso, it will create a hard edge. I lost you, sorry. See, that was because of my rendering of my video. So I just put it to sleep or actually quit out of the program. So that did not work. I was trying to see if I could let it render and work with you, and kind of did not let me do that. So I let that go, and that should come back right now.
I don't think Zoom works really well.
Oh,
It gives like a lot of issues.
So you don't like the
Not
way
sure.
Zoom works?
No, I've like during the rest of the last semester we used Collaborate and it worked well. I found Zoom
You used Collaborate, right? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Collaborate. I'm going to try Collaborate next week, so you may hear from me on that. It is difficult when the broadband width is not working. Yeah, I have two windows open in Zoom right now. Let me close them out. Okay. So, yeah, Zoom is very dependent on your broadband. And I think when I was rendering, it also took a lot out of my memory on this. So let me go back to finish up on the photo retouching. So on here, what I was going to use was a Lasso Tool. And you see, I'm just sort of, oh, I'm sorry, before I get to that, I was talking about the feather up here. So the feather actually softens the edge of the marching ants. So if you don't use feather, it'll be a hard edge with the marching ants. If you use feather, I'll put feather up to 10. And it says my internet is not stable. So we put feather up to 10 here. And let me bring this down. And I'm on the layer. And then this is when you can go up here to image adjustment levels again, where we were before. And watch what happens when I push this. It begins to create contrast. And contrast actually creates things that are in focus. And because it's soft edge, it's going to be softly like airbrushed. The other thing that you can use up here is you can actually go to filters and go here to sharpen. And right here, it just applied. I'll show you, I'll get close to you so you can see it. So I'll undo it. You see how it's soft and fuzzy, and then I'll redo it. And I could do it again. You see? And now, if I zoom out, fit on screen, that looks a little bit brighter. It was a little dull, not really important, but it definitely tells her personality, right? I mean, anyone that wears a pin like that really is something special with the pin that she has there. She probably loves hats, would be my guess. So a lot of things on these, just to wrap up on the photo retouching, a lot of these tools here, like for instance, like if I wanted to pick up, let me see here, I want to pick up the tooth would be good. Let's zoom into here. That's a hard one. So what I want basically is I want to take this guy and put him over here. Well, if I use any of these tools, it's not really going to work. Except I could use this patch tool. I'm going to try it. So you see, I'm not even sure, but I know what the patch tool does, so I'm going to try it. Otherwise, I'm going to go to my old school way and do it, which I know will work, but I want to try it to see if this will do it. The patch tool is very unique. And when it first came out, I couldn't make heads or tails of it, so I never used it. And then one day I said, I gotta figure out why this tool is here. And then it dawned on me why it was there. And it's because of this. So let's see if it's gonna work this time. So basically what you're doing is you're identifying what you wanna see. Then you come inside and you push. And you see, now it's bringing over that other one. And let me see what that looks like. Looks like she has 3 front teeth. Yes, she looks like she has 3 front teeth, right? So that's not really gonna work. But that's exactly what that tool did. So in other words, to go back, it lets you, when you're on it, it lets you move things that are around it. So it's very good if you need to get something that you do want in there. But I'm not happy with it, so I'm just going to undo. Control D, get rid of the marching ants, undo, and there it is. So what I do know is that this one would be the better one to bring over. And the way to do that is you would come up here like this, and I want to get this, oh, I have the feather on. So it's kind of like the feather is so big that it's not going to be able to pick it up. So I'm going to pick up this. She's on a 3/4 though, so it's kind of one of those things where I am going to need, there, okay. Pick up something around here. I'll just pick up this. And then what you do basically is copy, paste in place. And now you see I have just that. And I could flip it horizontal. Now it's on the other side. And then you bring it over here. And at this point, it's way too dark, right? As you can see. But I could lighten that by the adjustment like we did before. Work with the grays or the whites. And then begin to put that in a little bit more. Now don't forget, this is still just a layer. So now you can see how you begin to clean things up. So now what I want to do is I want to blend that. And now what I could do a couple of things. One, I could use my eraser. Is it soft edge? No, it's hard edge. Get it to be soft. And get it to be small. And I'm just going to get rid of the darks. And also here, the hard edge. And if you make your brush bigger, it actually does a better job. And now this will not blend because it's on a separate layer. So at this point, I have to merge these together. Merge visible. Now I can go back to the tool we were using, this one, and see if it will fix that right there. And it does. And so this is sort of the fine tuning. And again, here it's too bright. And then here, let's see if a sweep will happen. See now on this one, this might be good to use that other tool. So you see, that's a little nitpicking, but these are the things we do in Photoshop. And that's why it's important to know one tool doesn't do it all the time. Sometimes you have to switch it up. So I want to go back to some more things that are extracting from the background. And when we come back for our session, our next session is going to be at 2 o'clock. I want to share screens with anybody in their tools and with your compositing so that you know, we can troubleshoot some of the tools that we're going over. So the things that we have covered are, number one, the 3 tools here, which are getting the marching ants. Then also the quick mask, which is this one, where you paint the object. And then also the channels. Now, looking at what this is right now, I would do the channels on this. Why am I saying that? Because of the contrast. The feet are not very good. I could kind of work with that separately. But the bodies above the sky, above the horizon, is very contrasty. So I could easily use the channels on this. And that would be much faster than me dragging and painting all these elephants. So that's what I would do in utilizing this. And again, this is by itself. Image size, keep it to 150. And again, remember that duplication. Remember to turn that one off and work with this on the channels. Contrast is what you're looking for. It's already done for me, right? I practically could take this, but this sky would be picked up because of the gray. So I would duplicate this channel. And go back to my adjustment. Use a white. Then use the black. Oh, see, there's a little bit of highlights in there. I could go back to that. Say, okay. Apply the marching ants. Rebuild your picture. Back to layers. And hit delete. Now, obviously, on here, the tusks got taken away, but I could go back to fill that simply by having this underneath. And I could just grab these and bring them in as a copy. Remember, copy and then paste in place. So that's the same thing that when we did that guitar, when the finger is on top of the guitar like this. All right, pulled that myself out of Google. Is here. On the one I gave you, this one, here's a perfect example of a copy paste. This one right here, you see how his finger is on top of the layer. So the actual hand had no guitar at all. So and the same thing right here. So he laid the guitar on top of the hand, then just lassoed the finger, copy, paste in place, and in Photoshop, put it above the layer. So you see, you can push and pull these layers. So let me go back to this one and drag my elephants over to my hyper. Again, mouse down, drag, use a move tool, and drag in. So now I have my composite with a much faster cleanup. And this is a JPEG, so I don't want to overwrite it. So the other component to be working with on the ability to extract. Again, this would be a perfect example for channels. And on this one, here's another way to extract something that's a lot. This technique is the way we did the flame, where the lasso is very organic. It's not geometric. It's not hard edge. So do remember that the other tools that you have for extraction. So the only thing I'm going to be looking for next Tuesday is really all that you have extracted all of the backgrounds, you've isolated the objects, and you've put them all into the hypercomposite. And now you've moved it around in an interesting way so that the image is looking the way you want it to look. Remember, this is your vision. I'm only helping you make that become realized. So you want to have all of the pictures that you want to see, and you want to see it in the context of extracting all the backgrounds that you don't want, cleaning it up. And this, as we talked about the different ways, again, these 3 tools, the mask is going to be always your best. The channels is if something is complicated, you can utilize it. The other tools are pretty much more about blending than anything. Here's like, for instance, this vector tool, the path tool. Don't want to really fill your head with the path tool because it's a little complicated, but you get to edit. This is actually the only vector tool in Photoshop. This tool right here that I'm showing you is in Illustrator and InDesign. And it's a vector tool. And what it does, and I'll give you a little bit of it. Let me plot this organic water right here, and I'll show you how it works. I only have 4 minutes. Does anybody have any questions about the assignment as I'm showing you this?
Yeah, so by Tuesday, you want us to have like the picture set?
Yeah, I want you to have all of your assets in your final composite positioned in a way that's interesting. Don't worry about the edges. It's really about getting the background out and getting the composition together. I will help you in retouching the edges. But that's basically it. Yes, Louis.
Okay.
And should we put that on our WordPress? Like, how will we be able to show you that?
Thank you for that question.
Yeah, that was the next.
Yeah, good question on that. There's 2 ways to be able to help me see what you have done. The quickest way is WordPress. And the way you get your Photoshop file out of WordPress is you come up here to File, Export, Save for Web. This window will pop up.
So file, export, and then save for web.
Now, this is a window that basically converts the Photoshop document into a JPEG and PNG. Just put it to JPEG.
JPEG.
And then when you are in a new window that you've never seen before, what you want to look for is quality. Push the quality to 100. And then save that. Okay? So Christina, that was a good question. And that is definitely how you upload it to WordPress.
And should this be under progress now?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. And the other thing is, as we continue working, there will be times that you will share your screen. And in that screen sharing, I can help you a little bit more with the tools. Because you may have a problem that I have not shown you the tool yet. I mean, there are, like I showed you with the teeth, right? there's not a sure way of doing things in Photoshop. You have to sort of really know your tools and try to figure out what's the best tool. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So it's not because you're a beginner, it's because you're not using the right tool.
In order to help like clear the clutter of Photoshop, could we hypothetically get rid of some of the tools that we're not using?
Yeah, that's up here under Workspace. Workspace gives you tools that are windows that they say are primarily most important for doing motion timeline, video editing, painting, photography. But you can also save your workspace. So you could put the windows the way you want them to be, Matthew, and then just go new workplace and it will save it.
Yeah, but can we make like certain like options invisible to like?
Yeah, you could always, like for instance on patterns, like I don't need patterns. So you just come up here and you can just close it out.
Okay, because I think I might have accidentally deleted something important yesterday. So
On Windows, you can't delete any window. All you have to do is just come back up here to Window
okay.
and you can find it here. Like I always lose my layers,
Okay, good. All right.
right? I always lose my layers, so I have to call the layers back. Sometimes I always lose my tools. They will all come back. The hard time, you said something really important. I only have a minute left, folks. When we come back, I will continue this demo and we'll share some screens and troubleshoot any issues that you're having with any particular tool that we went through this morning.
All right, great.